when I was coming through early in my career, there wasn't such a big industry in terms of investment banking as there is now. When I started, I took the accounting route because that was a good way to get a really good grounding in business. I would still say to anyone starting out in their career anyway, to get a good broad business background is really useful, because to go from in an investment bank from analyst to all the way up to partner, or that career run, is quite a narrow career trajectory. And the way I've done it is probably more by luck than judgment, but I've taken a very much a wider view. I've gone to a number of businesses and that sort of thing. You just take your opportunities as you can. So I would say learn as much as you can.
Hi guys, today I'm honored to be speaking with Mr. David Blois, founder and managing partner at M&A Advisory. David has 30 years of extensive experience helping businesses with successful exits. That's really amazing. Thanks, David, for being with us here. If you can just throw some lights on your background and how did you exactly start off this entire M&A Advisory thing?
Sure, really good to meet you, Bhavesh, and thanks for inviting me on. Yes, we are, just to explain our company, we're an M&A advisory company specializing in the marketing comms sector, which is really a people business. So we've been in business about 15 or 16 years, and I've been doing this, as you say, for about 30 years. Right. It's really important with a people business that you not only have a business fit, but you have a personal fit as well. And so that's a very important part of our business. So my background is quite a wide, perhaps unusually, it's quite a wide business experience. I started off as an accountant. I'm a UK qualified FCCA. Wow. I trained with Reed Elsevier. I'm also somewhat schizophrenically a member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing, which has been quite a valuable qualification for me too. I started off with a group called Reed Elsevier, who are a media and information business. Now they were more of a conglomerate in those days, but I worked all over the world with them after qualifying, different countries, the US, Europe, and Africa, doing sort of financial and business positions. And then I finished up in corporate finance when they did a huge corporate transformation, doing lots of acquisitions and disposals at that point. And that was a career that lasted something like 17 years. Oh, and after that, they had a concept called shareholder value at the time, and Reed sort of were quite tuned into this. And I'm not sure I believed in it, because it was something that said do everything but only in the interests of shareholders rather than other stakeholders. They were very focused on shareholders, and I didn't know whether that was great for a career in business with them. So I left and wanted to find a business that valued people. So I wrote to the finance director of Saatchi & Saatchi and got a job as finance director based in Budapest shortly after the wall came down in 1993. And that was quite a turnaround management position. Very interesting time to be in that country, and very interesting time, you know, in terms of the business. I completed that and then felt, right, I'd like to move out of the corporate world and more into consulting. And I joined a business called Results International that were probably one of the leading firms in corporate finance, M&A, in the marketing communications sector. So I used my background at Reed in corporate finance and my background in advertising with Saatchi & Saatchi to join them. And I stayed with them for about 15 years, doing quite a number of deals all over the world, a lot of international deals, particularly in Eastern Europe and markets like Turkey. after a while, results sort of changed a bit. They got taken over by Canaccord, and I started my own business and formed it as M&A Advisory. The M&A Advisory.com domain name was still available at the time, and I thought that was a good name for an M&A Advisory.
Yeah.
That was a bit of luck. It cost me £5 to register it, but it actually, in reality, cost me 10, because I couldn't believe that I'd found it, and I was in my haste to register it. I spelt it wrongly, so I think I've got two M&A Advisories, one with a misspelling. So in terms of domain names, but yeah. So we've been in business 15 years, and we have, as you say, we have a big focus on a personal fit as well as a business fit, and we want to make long-lasting deals in this sector, which aren't always easy. So we say, one of the rules that we have is that for a deal to be sort of stamped by us to go ahead, there's got to be a personal fit, a chemistry fit between the parties when they first meet. So that if there's not chemistry, that's not a good sign for the future of the deal. Secondly, there's got to be a cultural fit, which is a business culture. You wouldn't put say an entrepreneurial business with a bureaucratic business. And thirdly, there's got to be an outstanding business proposition. There's got to be a real reason for the doing the deal.
Right.
And if you have those three elements, that's a good sign that the deal will work, and it will be long lasting.
Right.
So,
but yeah. So David, I mean, you have seen more than almost 30 seasons, right? So back then things were very different when you would talk to a seller, or you trying to identify a buyer for them, or getting into all these kind of transactions. How do you see this AI change the entire picture? I mean, are you really using AI right now, or you think you have to now because it's inevitable? How do you see this entire thing shift happening?
Yeah, I mean, I think AI is a fantastic thing. It's been and who knows where it's going, Bhavesh. And we've obviously only just scratching the surface now, but it's a very powerful piece of technology. We use it quite a bit in our business. We haven't got it. I think it's very early to have it as ingrained in the business, in other words, into your business systems. And from what I can see and hear, there are not that many quality business systems around that use AI that are, that have that sort of technology into it at this point. It's still very early because AI is changing all the time. But we use it for research. We use it for content. We use it for putting together information on businesses. It's a great little tool, really. That's what we use it as.
Wow, that's amazing. And so what is that one deal that basically gave you this sleepless nights, and it was like, I have to basically give all my energy in this? And I mean, there are deals like this because there's a lot of emotional thing that actually goes in with the founders when they're actually dealing with the exits.
Yes, there is a lot of emotion in these deals, for absolutely sure. I mean, it's our issue is to try and keep them under the, keep the emotion out of it, and that's why people appoint advisors, so they're we're actually a balanced voice in the transaction. But I guess all deals can be quite stressful to some degree to try and get them across the line. I mean, I suppose, one of the last deals that I did was quite interesting, and I think it's where an advisor can really use their experience to help the client. We had a private equity company. We introduced the seller to a private equity company, and one of the directors of the private equity company was really keen on the deal and formed quite a good relationship with the founder. And they got to kind of heads of agreement, etc., a fair offer. But for some reason, nothing was happening. It wasn't moving forward, And I said to my client, and the director was still, going to see them and talking with them. And I think that the issue there was that although the director was very keen on this particular business, the rest of his board at the PE company weren't. So he was having a bit of an internal battle with his colleagues and stalling my client until he thought he was going to win the. And we were able to call that out. We recognized our experience. With our experience, we're able to say, look, this is not right. You're not moving on with the deal. You're making all the right noises, but nothing's actually happening. So we spoke to our client, who was a bit disappointed because he really enjoyed the relationship. And we were very lucky. We warmed up another buyer, and it was sold to that buyer pretty quickly. So, that was using our experience and our, knowledge to get that deal over the line, because I think it would have just dragged on and then not happened. So, it was good. Yeah.
So, David, I mean, we all are aware of the current situation, right? All the geopolitical thing going on around, seeing Davos as well. What do you see how things are going to shape in the next 12 months with respect to the M&A market?
Right? Yeah, Bhavesh, I think I'm pretty positive. The sector that we work in is always, basically people, it's changing all the time and developing all the time. It's changed massively in the number of years I've been working. It's sort of fragmented, and there are much more global players, a lot of private equity backed players, and all of these things. So it's always an exciting time to be in this industry in terms of M&A. But I think since about May 24, it was a little bit quieter for sure, the industry, in terms of M&A. But now with the stock market, I find the stock market is a great driver for these things, because it gives PE exit, you get new flotations and all of these sorts of things. And the UK stock market, which in a way it's a global stock market because a lot of the companies are global rather than just UK based. They are, doing pretty well or doing better. The market's doing much better. That gives a lot of confidence, and we're seeing more transactions being done. So we're getting more deals away. We've got a number of clients now at heads of terms. We've got a deal that's going to complete in the middle of February. So I think it's an exciting time, and I'm quite looking forward to it. We've got a government that's probably not pro-business as an understatement in the UK. So it's great that business is carrying on despite that, with sort of more taxes and things like that imposed on business. So it's quite an interesting time. But I'm quite optimistic.
Fantastic. Yeah, because we all are basically just looking forward to a year where things just go up and not south, right? So,
yeah, we hope so. We hope so. Yeah.
So, David, what is that? I mean, as you've spent so many years in corporate finance, M&A advisory, right? And in recent times, we are seeing a lot of shift happening in the younger generation, where they're very inclined towards getting into investment banking, M&A advisory industry, right? Field. There's a lot of interest. I personally got hooked to this industry 2-3 years ago, right? What is that one piece of advice that you would actually give them before they get into this entire thing?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, that. And obviously, when I was coming through early in my career, there wasn't such a big industry in terms of investment banking as there is now.
Yeah.
But when I started, and also there wasn't things like so much like MBAs and other such things. And when I started, I took the accounting route because that was a good way to get a really good grounding in business. But I would still say to anyone starting out in their career anyway, to get a good broad business background is really useful. Because to go from in a investment bank from analyst to all the way up to partner on that career run is quite a narrow career trajectory. And the way I've done it is probably more by luck than judgment, but I've taken a very much a wider view. I've gone to a number of businesses and that sort of thing. You just take your opportunities as you can. So it's an interesting. I don't know whether my advice is valid, because obviously some people may join a firm and go from junior analyst all the way up to partner, and that's great. But I really believe that to do that partner's job effectively, a good business experience helps. So and that would also possibly open up other opportunities to you. So I would say learn as much as you can. That would be my sort of recommendation.
Thank you so much, David. How do you keep yourself updated? What books do you read? What books would you recommend to the audience here in the investment banking industry, or to the finance, or in the finance industry specifically?
Yeah, I think fairly wide reading. I don't know whether there's anything that I'm just trying to think of some books. You probably should have asked me that, and I could have prepared for it. But yeah, I just try and read as widely as possible. I think it's in terms of marketing. I think in trends in marketing and technology marketing, people like Marcus Sheridan is a good author in terms of some of the stuff he's written on. So I think if you're going to get as read as much as possible in as wider area as possible. There's not that many books on investment banking around. My previous employer, Graham Beckett at Results, wrote a book on marketing M&A. So it's by Graham Beckett, and that's a good book to get a background in M&A in our industry. And I always recommend our interns read that book when they come to us. So that's always a good book. I'm sure it's still available.
Sure. So thank you so much, David. It was actually amazing talking to you. There's a lot of insights that I've actually found and I learned a lot from this conversation. So let's stay in touch, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, Bhavesh, thank you very much indeed. That's super. Really good. Really enjoyed talking with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.